What's going on YouTube? So when it comes to vehicles that nearly every single person has heard of, the Honda CR-V would have to be at the top of that list. And that's why it's important when changes are made to a model this popular, which is exactly what I'm standing next to right now. This is the refreshed 2026 Honda CR-V. So with styling changes, more standard features, and a new Trail Sport trim, is this CR-V the best option you can buy in this crowded segment? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So a good place to start things off with would be our exterior design. Now, when Honda does a refresh, they typically don't change things up a ton, and indeed the overall look is going to be very similar to what it was in the 2025 model year. That's not a bad thing, however, because it's always had a very nice and handsome look with this new generation. Now, what we're standing in front of right now is the Sport Touring trim level. That is the top trim level. But you're going to continue to have a lot of different choices on board. You're actually going to have 7 different trims you can choose from now with the addition of that new Trail Sport model, which we'll be looking at a little bit later. Now, in terms of that, that's going to be divided between gas and hybrid powertrains. The LX, EX, and EXL are going to be the gas-only trims. The other models are hybrid exclusive. Now, once again, in terms of our overall look here with the fascia, nice gloss black finish. As we drop down to the lower area, you've got the honeycomb design with the silver accenting going on right through there. And then, of course, in terms of our lighting, we continue to have standard full LEDs on all models. These are reflector LEDs, and you've got your daytime running light running across the top. Now, I want to jump over here and take a quick look at the Trail Sport. I'll give you guys an idea of kind of the differences in terms of the overall design, but I want to emphasize we're going to go through all the details of this model in a separate video that's just going to be coming after this main video. But as you can see, this is going to be your more rugged look in terms of the design. You got the Trail Sport branding, and you have the exclusive color here shared with the Passport model. And that new color is called Ash Green Metallic, by the way. This is the Urban Gray as well. Now, as far as our wheels, we've got some updates for 2025. Honda says they've got new designs on all but the LX and the Sport Touring models. This is the Sport Touring, so this is the largest wheel option. It's a 19-inch gloss black alloy. They look quite nice. The other trims will have 18-inch or 17-inch choices. Moving up here to our mirrors, we've got the gloss black finish on board. We also have blind spot monitoring, of course, and heating. Now, in terms of the overall length, that is unchanged this year, so you're still looking at 184.8 inches in length. That's about 5 inches longer than an HR-V and pretty much in line with the current generation of the RAV4. Now, in terms of styling, again, we have some subtle upgrades here as well. So one of the things I want to point out is the fact that now all hybrid models switch from chrome trim around the windows here to a gloss black trim. I personally am a big fan of this swap. Just kind of gives you a little bit more contrast and a little bit more of an aggressive look. And then you have the same kind of thing going on in the back as well. So you'll notice that the badging here has been blacked out. So a really nice look to this. On this fully loaded model, we've got a lot of badges, as a matter of fact. So you've got your CR-V and your hybrid branding right through there. Then on this side, you've got your Sport and your Touring. Honda also mentioned that you can get a package and black out the actual Honda logo itself if you want to go ahead and get that seamless look. I think that would probably look better having everything all matching. Now, as far as the rest of the design, it's signature CR-V. So you've got the spoiler up here at the top, gloss black finish, wiper right here in the middle. Then you've got your taillights, which, as you can see, are LED accented with the vertical design. Some of the elements are going to still be incandescent, it appears. However, it is still a pretty nice look overall. One of the things I really like about this model, though, is the fact that our hybrids get the exposed exhaust outlets. I've always really dug the integrated look of this. Now, as far as towing, that will remain at 1,000 pounds for the hybrid and 1,500 for your gas powertrain. And of course, as you'd expect, you're going to have that full suite of safety systems as all CR-Vs have had with this generation. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop on the inside because there's some exciting changes in there you're going to want to see. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the interior here. Of course, you have a smart entry system on board. We don't have the key fob in this studio setting. And let's take a look inside at the interior. So, Honda definitely knew that this was a very functional and well-received interior, and they went ahead and made some updates to some of the areas that I'm getting ready to mention. Let's start off by talking about the seats, however. Of course, we've got the leather seats here on this Sport Touring. As a matter of fact, this will come on the Sport L as well as the EXL trim. Those will all get the real leather seats. You will get a leather accented seat on that new Trail Sport model, and then your lower trims will come with cloth seating. All models, however, will get the power adjusting seat here. We also have lumbar support on board, and overall this is a nice feeling seat. But let's go ahead and climb inside so that we can get into those specific updates. Now as I close up the solid sounding door, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on our door trim, we continue to have this leatherette material. You are going to have a soft touch plastic all through the door trim. And then on this trim, we've got the full gloss black finish, which is over here on the door trim, as well as through the center of the dashboard. Now up on the top dash, this is all a soft touch plastic all through here as well. This continues with that new design theme that Honda's been rolling out through the last couple years, the kind of single vent effect, and then you have a faux aluminum down below that. It is going to be hard touch down here along the console, but in typical Honda fashion, everything in here feels really strong and solid. Now, of course, as you can see, we are indoors in a studio setting, so I'm not going to fire up the engine, but we already have everything booted up inside the cabin to show off some of the new features. Critically, let's jump right into one of those big new features, and that's right here in front of us. We've got a new 10-inch digital cluster on board. Now, this isn't on all the trim levels. It's on your upper trim levels. However, it's a nice change from the half digital, half analog setup because it gives you more customizability overall, like you've seen on some of the other recent Honda products. Do be aware, though, if you want a head-up display, that's something that Honda is still not going to be offering even on the top trim level. Now, pulling back to the steering wheel, when you have leather seating, you of course get the nice leather wrapped steering wheel. We also have rain sensing wipers here on the Sport Touring trim. And then the steering wheel itself is power tilt and telescoping. Built right in, we've got the button for our heated steering wheel. This is included on the Sport Touring, but also new for 2025. It's standard on your Trail Sport trim level, and Honda says you can get it as an accessory on all the other trim levels as well. Now, as we move into interior storage, I'm really glad that Honda did not try to fix something that wasn't broke here, because this is a huge center console, 9 liters to be exact. I'm not sure if this is still the case, but they were claiming when this vehicle first came out that this was the class leader in terms of console space. I believe it still is. I mean, it's absolutely enormous, really deep through there, and you have a felt lining down at the bottom. That's not all your storage you have, though, because you've got your cup holders, this little slot right here, and then up in the front, nice large storage cubby. And then this is a nice change I want to highlight. You have a standard wireless phone charging pad on every single trim level now. So that includes even that base LX is going to give you the ability to wirelessly charge up your device. Now, as far as the shifter, it remains a traditional style, so nothing complex or anything like that. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that when you go into reverse, you're not going to find a 360 camera. I would have definitely liked to see that upgrade for 2026 model year, but they still don't have that on any of the CRVs, including this top-end Sport Touring version. Now, next to that, though, you will find your electronic parking brake with your brake hold function. You also have a hill descent control and your drive mode controller. Honda says that this top trim level is going to be offering an individual drive mode, which is something new for 2026, allowing you to kind of customize a few of the different features just to tailor them to your specific driving style. Now moving into our climate controls next, as you can see, we've got a dual zone automatic setup. Same really nice and high quality knobs that they've had for the past few years. Off to the side, you'll also find your 3-stage heated seats. This is included on all but the base version of the CR-V. However, we don't have ventilated seats. That's something that a few of the rivals are offering now at this point. Up above, we have a physical volume knob for the audio system. This is available in a lot of different configurations. So you actually start with 4 speakers. You can move up to 6 and 8 speakers. And then this top-end Sport Touring gives you the Bose 12-speaker sound system. There's no changes to this for 2026. So we're not going to actually take the time here. We're kind of in a rush to pair the phone and sample it out. It is going to sound the same as it has in all the previous model years. But what's not the same is this display right here in front of me. So what Honda has done for 2026 is kind of a 1-2 punch. So first of all, they've expanded a 9-inch display across the entire lineup now. Previously, if you got all the lower trims, you had a 7-inch display. So this is certainly going to be a big improvement, give you a little bit more screen real estate and put it more in line with the competition. Now on the top Sport Touring trim level, this is going to further give you a new software system which has Google Apps built in. So unlike what you had in 2025 model year, now you can jump right into some built-in Google Apps, including, and probably most importantly, Google Maps just kind of natively inside the system. All CR-Vs, furthermore, will come with wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Now up top here, we've got the auto dimming mirror. This is included on our upper end trim levels. And then up at the very top, you don't have to upgrade very far to get a standard size sunroof. This is included on all but the base trim level, but a panoramic sunroof is not offered. Now welcome into the rear seat area, where we're going to continue to find an enormous amount of space. Now, as Josh kind of pushed in to this view, you probably noticed that the door continues to open at nearly 90 degrees. That's certainly very helpful if you're loading in a car seat or something like that. And once you actually get into the seat itself, you don't have to be a child. You could certainly be an adult and be super comfortable back here, because behind my own 5 and 8 driving position, you can see that I've got a ton of space. This is about 41 inches of legroom, which will continue to be one of the very largest in the entire segment. Now, when I bust out the official Car Confections ruler, we can check the knee room right here. And you can see I've got 10 inches of knee room behind my driving position. Very, very impressive. The seats themselves have 8 levels of recline, or continue to have 8 levels of recline, I should say, so you can get nice and comfortable. The armrest is very large and has some cup holders inside. Up here, you'll notice that we have rear air conditioning vents, and the hybrid models will come with the USB-C ports. The floor is nice and flat right here, and in terms of materials for the back door trim, they're going to be a little bit cheaper than the front, but still nice and high quality for the parts that matter, such as the armrest. Now let's move into the cargo area. We do have some expanded availability of the power tailgate, including that new Trail Sport trim level, and it is hands-free here on the Sport Touring. Now, checking out the cargo area. It continues to be absolutely enormous. You actually have up to 76.5 cubic feet of space that is unchanged for 2026, and that remains one of the very largest in these segments. This actually has more cargo space than a lot of mid-size SUVs, so it really is a tremendous place to stick things. Now, I went ahead and got the tape measure out so we can go ahead and use some official measurements. So as we move from my driving position to the back here, we're setting at 76 inches. Behind the second row here, we've got 35 inches. We have 42 inches of width here, and then as far as our height, also quite good. we're looking at about 32 inches of height. You have to excuse my subpar tape measure skills. Mason is better at maneuvering this thing. Now, one thing I do want to point out is because this is the hybrid model, we don't have any underfloor storage. You also will not have a spare tire, and that includes the Trail Sport trim. Of course, that is a more off-road focused version, but it is hybrid exclusive, so that means you cannot get the spare tire with it. So we went ahead and popped the hood so that we could talk a little bit about the powertrain options. Now, like I said at the beginning, you have both gas and hybrid powertrains available. The standard option is going to be a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and that'll continue to make 190 horsepower. When you go for the hybrid model, that is Honda's 2-motor hybrid system. Meaning, of course, it is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 2 electric motors. Total system power on that remains unchanged at 204 horsepower and 247 pound-feet of torque. Now, as far as your transmissions, you have either a CVT or an eCVT-like transmission on your hybrid models. Front-wheel drive is standard on most trim levels, and all-wheel drive is offered. However, all-wheel drive is standard on both the Trail Sport and the Sport Touring trims. Now, one change for 2026 is that we have better traction management from the all-wheel drive system as well. And then we expect fuel economy to remain pretty much the same for 2026. So that would mean you are looking at about 37 mpg combined for a Sport Touring hybrid model. Now, of course, we look forward to actually taking these out on the road soon enough to put them to the test, get things like our signature sound level rating. But of course, today we're here in the studio setting taking a first look. So you have to wait a little bit longer to get our full driving impressions. Now let's talk a little bit about pricing and availability. Honda says that this will be on sale in late spring, so you shouldn't have to wait too long to get your hands on one of these 2026 CR-Vs. And as far as pricing is concerned, they're not releasing that at this time. However, we will keep you guys updated as it gets a little closer to when this vehicle goes on sale and they release the full pricing information. Now, for your reference, what it currently is and what we expect it to stay similar to, since it's a very competitive segment, it starts at about $30,000 and moves its way up to about $41,000 for this. So maybe if you add about $1,000, that would probably put you in the right spot for gauging the pricing information of this model. Now, if you're looking to buy a CR-V, we'd encourage you to go over to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, it's going to connect you to local dealerships in your area to get you the best price, as well as access to invoice pricing information. We also have a tool on that website to help you out with your monthly payment estimations. Again, that's carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this in-depth studio first look with the 2026 Honda CR-V. If you found this to be a useful video, we would appreciate it if you went down below and clicked subscribe. When you subscribe, it tells automakers that you find our content valuable, and that's how we get invited out to places like here in Los Angeles, California today to take a first look at this CR-V before just about anybody else out there. If you're already a fan and subscriber to the channel, we certainly appreciate your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.